Hello, everybody, and welcome to the top 5 new comics for September 18th of 2024. I'm, as always, Chris. We got a really cool slate of books this week. Some deeper in the runs, but still some great books they should be checking out. So let's jump right into it. Starting with World's Finest, number 31. This is written by Mark Waid with art by Artist-Adrian Gutierrez. Colors by Tamara Bonneville, letters by Steve Wands, and edited by Paul Kanaminski. So we're deep into the World's Finest run. Looks like Dan Mora is not here for this run, which is unfortunate, but Artist-Adrian Gutierrez art is still phenomenal. We've gotten past all of the imp fifth dimensional stuff, but doesn't mean we have a really cool villain to go with Eclipso. So, I mean, basically, if you haven't been reading World's Finest since the beginning, it's just been one of the premier books at DC. It's that book that brings so much fun and lightheartedness to it, while at the same time having great stakes and great action. And I think what's best about it is, while it's dived into continuity with DC, with stuff like the Lazarus Pit and a few other things, it, for the most part, is just enough outside where you don't need to be like a DC Uber fan to read it. It's really become one of those books that I think that down the line we're going to be saying this is a great book to get someone into comics and superhero comics, because you can read these volumes, and if you have a basic knowledge of who Batman and Superman are, you'll get by with 80 to 90% of what's going on in these books. And it just continues to be great, arc after arc after arc. World's Finest has been phenomenal in every way, and really would recommend, if you're not on board with it, this is the start of a new story arc, so it's probably a good place to jump on, or go back and find some trades. I mean, it's got to be in print. If DC doesn't have this in print and trades, they're fools. Which, you know, DC's been known to make stupid decisions like that before, but we're going to move on from that, because after that, we have Dark Knights of Steel, Allwinter, number 3. This is written by J. Kristoff and Tom Taylor, with art by Riccardo, Federici, and Tirso Cons. So I've really enjoyed this Allwinter story arc. With we've got the Viking realm inside this Dark Knights of Steel universe, and they're stuck in a world of black and white. Allwinter is hit, all color from the world's gone. But this character shows up, known as Alec, and he has color, and he brings color to things around him. So is he the solution to Allwinter? We'll find out. Now, we're doing so many cool things here because we've got all these DC characters that we know that weren't in the first Dark Knights of Steel run, that could collide with the original Dark Knights of Steel run, hopefully for a next volume. And then we're also just telling a cool story that obviously involves Swamp Thing. I mean, we've got Alec here as a kid who's connected to the Green, some sort. We got Alec Holland, we got Swamp Thing. And then the backup story really dealing with what's going on in the oceans during, and maybe even a little before, the original Dark Knights of Steel, dealing with Aquaman, dealing with Ocean Master and all these people, and how it connects to the origins of what's going on during the original run. So 2 really cool stories going on at the same time, and it's just a cool universe to dive into. Would recommend reading the first volume of this first, because not only is it a phenomenal comic, but they do dive a lot into the ramifications of things based on what happened in the first arc. So it is not very new reader friendly, but it's still a phenomenal read, and I recommend it to everybody that can get it. After that, we've got Star Wars, Darth Vader, number 50. This is written by Greg Pak, with art by Adam Gorham and Luke Ross, and Paul Fry and Raffaele, with letters by Joe Caramagna, colors by Alex Sinclair, and Federico Belli. So a lot of names here, a lot of things going on. Basically, the Star Wars comics as we know them are coming to an end, and this is the finale of the Darth Vader series. Could be the last time we get an ongoing Darth Vader book, because the ongoing Darth Vader books have gone between A New Hope and Empire, and then started again after Empire into where we're leading off now, which is Return of the Jedi. And the next phase that we seem to be going into is post Return of the Jedi. So I don't think it's a huge spoiler, but Darth Vader no longer around after Return of the Jedi. So this could be the last Darth Vader ongoing we ever get. Who knows what the future of the Star Wars comic franchise is? There are a lot of Darth Vader stories to tell. And I would love to see them dive into Darth Vader becoming Darth Vader post episode 3. But for now, it seems like we're moving on from him. And it's just been, between the Star Wars and the Darth Vader run, have been some phenomenal comics. Star Wars comics in particular. If you're a Star Wars fan, like, Marvel has really treated these properties with so much care and respect. I've enjoyed them so much. Like any other series, like any other IP, there's been ups and downs. But I think overall, this chunk that we've dealt with, these 50 issues, whatever that is, 4 or 5 years of comics, have been some really great stuff. And I really think we should look back on it fondly as to what has happened with it. Really excited for what's next for Star Wars, but I thought it was a good chance to celebrate what was with Star Wars, with the finale coming up and next month diving into the post Return of the Jedi stuff. Would really recommend checking out the Darth Vader run that Greg Pak had. He's done some phenomenal work here. Would really recommend the main flagship Star Wars book by Charles Soule as well. Just all good stuff. And this is definitely like my most anticipated book of the week. I will be picking this up and reading it day one because I'm interested to see where they leave things and how they kind of wrap things up. And after that, I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nation #1. This is written by Tom Waltz with art by Vincenzo Frederici. So TMNT has been this franchise. It's been in my life for a long time. Never been a huge Turtles fan, but have loved them enough to always try to support what's going on. Whether it's the movies, video games that come out. Occasionally I jump on some comics, but really with this revamp that they've done, this soft reboot with Jason Aaron and company, I dove headfirst into it, and I've really enjoyed that main series. And the ancillary books have come out since, I have enjoyed. And this one in particular, like, it feels like, while it is more of a continuation of the last run, where Jason Aaron's book feels more like a soft reboot of the last run, it's still going alongside with Tom Waltz, who was one of the big writers in TMNT for a long time. And I think he's going to do some cool things that will introduce new characters to new readers, or just, lapsed readers like myself who aren't as familiar with the expanded universe of the Turtles. So I'm just really excited to jump into it, see what they have, see how new reader friendly it is, and see how it ties into what's going on in the main book. Like, I feel like this is their chance to introduce characters in a really in-depth way and tell some cool stories while setting up things for maybe the future of the mainline book. All around, just the Turtles IP has been great in comics recently, and I thought it deserves some respect to check out some of the side books that are going on. This one being kind of the top tier one, the one that they pushed the hardest, in my opinion. And just, it looks cool, and I can't wait to check it out. After that, got Mark Spears Monsters #1. This is written and drawn by Mark Spears. The short version of this is, while it's not the Universal Monsters, it's the Universal Monsters. And I've just really always been intrigued by these characters. Like, Dracula and vampires have always been some of my favorite. I love zombies. But then some of the side characters, like the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, the Mummy, things like that. I'm always interested in them being in something. And they're such cool and unique horror icons that whenever they pop up, I want to see what's going on and see what people have to say about them. It's kind of cool that they're mostly all public domain things and that people can do what they want with them. And to do a team up book like this just makes sense. Now, this is a comic based on the trading card series monsters. So I'm sure there'll be differences from the ones we know from the Universal monsters. At the same time, I'm sure there'll be a lot of similarities. Set in the 80s, cool horror vibes. I just think this book has a chance to be something fun and interesting and cool. And Keenspot's been a fun publisher doing some things outside the norm. They're publishers of a political book that I really like, and Biden's Titans, formerly Trump's Titans. I know they've published some stuff by friends of mine in the industry, and just to see them do something like this, something that really like catches my eye outside of an obvious like, oh, I know the guy that wrote that or drew that, is really cool to see. And I hope that this is something that works out for them, because they've quietly done some fun stuff in the industry and made a name for themselves really under the radar. So pushing for them on this one, and it's just a cool concept that I'm always there for. I'm always there for it. So everybody, that is it for my top 5. If you want to support me further, remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below on this YouTube channel / video, and share it around, share it with your friends, let them know what's going on here. You can also find me at the Fortress Comic News Podcast, where every week we talk about what's going on in the comic book industry, and usually have some sort of comic book guest on the show to talk about what they're doing. And there's also my Substack at chriscomicscorner.substack.com. Thank you all so much for watching this week, and I will see you all here next week.